ahead, and if you haven't watched the videos beforehand, even today, the records that I picked and the magazines with the space moon landing stuff were perfect examples of what the Asheford Institute survey said is selling well, that I had fresh in my mind, that I got in there and I didn't hesitate to buy it. Sometimes you're kind of hesitating and you see the price and you're not sure. So it just really helps you to know what to look for. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in. I see a lot of people joining, which is really cool. If you don't know this, I just started live videos. I did my first one last weekend. I was really resistant to it because social media, right? And it's pretty painful. There's my girl Belle Star, love you. And what was I saying? Most of us don't love seeing ourselves on camera, so it is hard to do, and it is painful if you watch it. But all that being said, last weekend when I did my first one, it turned out to be fun, and I was like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. And I really do think there's a desire for people to see what happens in different parts of the U.S. So I'm curious how estate sales go in New Jersey or in California, or how auctions are there, or what things are going for and their prices, what trends that you're seeing. So I think that's helpful. I hope it's good for you to see. A lot of people just logged in, so I do want to say, for the last time, I'll make sure it's my last time, I'm sorry. Thank you, old Larry. Okay, he just said my glasses are ace, and so I have to tell you, these are peepers, and I have 20/20 vision, y'all. I don't need these suckers at all. But they are accessories, and I don't know what my deal is or what it says about me psychologically, but I have loved fake glasses ever since I was a little girl. Anyways, if you want to make it sound official, like you're not a total weirdo with fake glasses, you can always say they have that blue light indicator thing that really helps, with the digital age and looking at the screen and that kind of thing. So there's that padded answer. But thank you, Larry's house. Preach that. Yes, look back at the previous videos. 2 awesome articles. Okay, thread up thing. Now I know it's you, Beth, because you got some yes girls yes going on. I wasn't sure who was on the Belle Star account. And this is a great chance to say all of this fabulous stuff that I'm trying to search for can be found at Belle Star Vintage Market in Fort Smith, Arkansas. We are close to Oklahoma. We are close to Texas. We are close to Missouri. We are in a really great location, and it is the best antique mall around. You will not find someone who does it better. It is clean. It is classy. Fabulous vendors. Beth, who owns Belle Star, if you don't already follow her, is B-E-L-L. No. Yeah, B-E-L-L-E, Belle with an E, and then Star with 2 R's at the end, S-T-A-R-R, and follow them because they post a lot of really great stuff and it sells fast for really, in my non-expert opinion, very wonderful prices. So that's where I am locally, and I also sell online Etsy. That is a new venture for me, and it has been such a learning curve. And any of you who are kind of more oldies and veterans at Etsy, I'd love any feedback or tips that you have. It definitely seems like it's all about getting the traction and posting and posting and posting and trying to get yourself out there. But I've met some really neat people, and I'm not just saying that, like some really enjoyable people and sold some great vintage stuff that has found wonderful homes. So that is how you can find me locally, Belle Star Vintage Market in Fort Smith, Arkansas, or you can find me on Etsy, Theo Nouveau Vintage. I get a lot of questions on our name. Theo is the name of my son. So there's that, and he's basically the light of my life, and I love him so much. And he's 3.5, and he's my full-time job, and he's at school, and so this is when I get out and do my thing. And like I said earlier, I can't get to estate sales early on Fridays, and that's just life, and we all have commitments and responsibilities. You can't always be there first, and that is okay because we are holistic people. But what was I actually saying about that? On Etsy, this is where I just go on a tangent and I'm not even sure what's happening with life right now. But it was something. What was it? can you type what I was talking about? Y'all are probably like, sister, we don't know. You need help. It wasn't the glasses, but it was something else. I go, hopefully I will be at a really great auction tomorrow, and we'll go live from there. I'm trying just to give more tips and tricks, make myself more available. And as you all know, oh, that's what I was saying. Okay, it comes back. It is tough to put yourself out there. And Beth would remember when I first started Theo Nouveau. Oh, my name. No, that's what I was really on. Nouveau is from my favorite artistic time period, Art Nouveau, which if you don't know it, look it up. It's really beautiful, and a lot of reasons why I love that time period. Turn of the century, specifically Europe. But it is hard to put yourself out there. Beth would remember that I didn't even want to post a picture of myself on Instagram or Facebook, and it did take me a while to feel really comfortable. So to go from there to this in less than 2 years is me trying to push myself. But it is the modern world that we live in, so I don't know what to do other than just try to embrace it and to say it hasn't been as scary as I thought it would be. Okay, before I close out, if you haven't been watching the whole series today, please do. I'm going to reference one more time, even though I think I said I wasn't going to do that. I take it back, and I'm sorry. The post, if you see that I have today, is from the ashfordinstitute.com. They do a fabulous video. They don't. They do a fabulous survey every year on the decorative art trends that vintage and antique dealers have seen in high demand. What is selling? What do people want? What has asking prices that are rising? Fabulous, wonderful survey. It gives you a lot of different details. The records, said specifically some records that are super hot right now in vinyl. The art, like I said in a previous video, brutalist art is really coming back. Obviously, mid-century modern everything is still pretty hot, but there is a return to quite a few younger hipster people taking advantage of the low prices that Victorian furniture is going for. And of course, we know this stuff is trends, and so just buy what you really like, buy what speaks to you. I mean, that's the real message, where your home feels like home, or where your office feels like an office, maybe with the homey touch. Buy what you like. But with that being said, these trends, they swing back and forth, but glass is still really down. You can hardly sell glassware. It is so hard. And yet this article mentioned that some people are stockpiling depression glass in hopes that it eventually goes back up, which it may not. Who knows? It's the future. There's no way to really know. But art glass is the one type of glass that does sell fairly well. In older age groups, Western art is doing really well. Cowboy art, obviously there's your Remingtons and stuff like that, where fakes do abound, so you really have to be careful. But lesser known artists that you always want to be keeping an eye out for. And my thought is, I haven't done this yet, but I want to go back through that article, and I want to write out all of the like specific brands that it said, because a lot of these I was not alive for, and sometimes people can look down on you for that, but you can't help it. Like, you just weren't born. So be willing to learn, and I'm trying to learn these names and these brands and what certain things are, so that I can be on the lookout for it. Everyone knows like Pyrex is hot and cool, but people may not know that the brutalist, let me see if I think it was Tom and Jerry Green, Greene, who I had to look up from the article, but I looked up their stuff and I recognized it. But I felt like I really learned something. Like, that might be something, a little bit of an inside tip that someone doesn't know to go for at an estate sale. While everyone's over there, getting the Pyrex, you can be over there getting the brutalist metal art that's really super cool to hang on the wall. So I found that to be really helpful. The Thread Up is the second one, and we've got so many great people joining now that I just really appreciate that. The second resource is the Thread Up Resale 2019 report. It is so good. I'm curious if any of you have actually bought from ThredUp. I have not. They are an online secondhand clothing retailer, I think out of the West Coast. I could not remember. but they did an extensive study that is showing the growth in the secondhand market. It is expected, the secondhand, specifically clothing, but I think it can speak true for the market as a whole, is expected to grow 5 times what's happening right now by 2023, which, if you think about it, that's 3 years away. I mean, we're in 2020. The revenue and the projected sales is huge. A lot of your main retailers, I've said this before, so if you already listened to it, I'm sorry. I really do apologize. But it doesn't hurt to hear again, I guess. A lot of major retailers like Patagonia, like North Face, like Kate Spade are really interested in selling their own vintage line products. So for example, on Poshmark, you can get a really high markup still on vintage North Face or on vintage Patagonia. And 9 out of 10 high-level retail executives for these types of companies said that this year they want to get more into the secondhand market, and people care. That we have a conscious consumer that cares a lot more about, I'm sorry, again, I have allergies going on, that care more about the environment, carbon footprints. The secondhand market, I think, is really just beginning to, I feel like it's still early adopters adapting it. Your main kind of average consumer might just be starting to buy a vintage piece this year. And I think we're going to see that grow. If you are a reseller, no matter if it's on Poshmark or on Etsy or in an antique mall, a vintage shop, I really look at this data. They have it in a really nice presentable format. And I learned a ton. So those are the 2 recommendations. The one on my post today, ashfordinstitute.com. Look under, I think the left-hand side, it's courses, which is weird because it's not really a course, but then it's their news or whatever. And then it'll show you the recently published 2019 study and then the ThreadUp report. I hope that's helpful. I can't think of anything else other than just to say hi, and it is nice to see you on here. It is nice to meet you. I'm very green still in this market, but very hungry to learn, and some of you are probably absolute pros at this point, but it is an exciting industry. It is always changing. Sustainable living is only going to grow. I take search requests is one thing I said earlier. If you're in New York searching for something, it might be here in Arkansas. And for me personally, my love for the decorative arts grew. We lived in Europe for 5 years. So Arkansas is not, I'm trying to get this glare off my glasses, my really cool glasses. I'm sorry. What was I saying? We lived in Europe for 5 years, and really being over there developed such an interest and an appreciation for the decorative arts. And so as I'm thinking through the mission for Theo Nouveau Vintage, it is very much attached to helping people find unique, funky, high quality vintage that comes from all stylistic periods. I love an eclectic mix. That just speaks to me. And all different types of objects within that. I love the art, I love the literature, and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to start getting more into clothing, I think, based off of these things I've told you, because the numbers are out of control. And there's some secondary factors as well. The mission of Theo Nouveau is to help promote the sustainable living movement, a sustainable lifestyle. There's so much data out there of just if you bought one used t-shirt versus a new t-shirt this year, just one, the difference that makes. And I am certainly no expert. I have a long way to go, but I'm trying to be more conscious. And I think there's a lot of people like that who just want to take small steps in the right direction. And then lastly, I love the decorative arts. Since living in Europe, I grew such an appreciation with the museums we got to see and the architecture, and really putting history. I imagine most of you love history because you're in this as well. Putting that history together with the decor of the time and how it speaks to so many things. And there's always something to learn. So that is where this kind of comes into play, of just trying to put myself out there and meet you guys and to say hi. So there's a great community. If you're not already familiar with vintage, it is a hashtag that I started about 9 months ago, and I'm shocked at how many people have been using it. Honestly shocked. I was laying in bed one night and I thought, we should have a hashtag that's VTG. And so I did it. And then now it's like 38 contributors, really fabulous people. If you're looking for a good hashtag to have in your back pocket, because it does get hard sometimes to not use the same ones over and over and over again. The world doesn't need a new hashtag, but whatever, I created one and it's out there for you. And I think that's all. Watch the previous videos to see what was going on today with estate sailing, what I recommend in terms of reading, and thank you for being really great followers. And I have learned a lot from people's names that I see here, and I don't know who you are by face, but I've learned from you just looking at your stuff online, and I appreciate that. I want to speak out to 20th Century Furnishings because I think this is awesome. Thank you for just sharing. And they say, as an old pro, the most important thing to know is no one can know it all, and there is so much more to learn. And that, like, amen, preach it. And I think that's probably what drives a lot of us, that hunger to learn more, and that the market is always changing, so it kind of keeps you on your toes. You can't get stale. And if there's any other people, I should probably flip back through here just to see if y'all left any other messages to share with the group here. I don't think so. And I didn't drop my phone on this video, so that's a plus. So we will just close with that. Yes, Alexander, absolutely, I'm with you. I would encourage you to follow Bellstar Vintage Market and to have an excellent Friday, and to buy fake glasses even if you have 20/20 vision. And I think that'll do it for now. Thank you for tuning in, and I am signing out. Y'all take care.